Alright, so it is April 25th, 2026. It's about 10:30 a.m. It's a Saturday. I took some painkillers, like kratom, and also what was prescribed to me from the doctors. That's methocarbamol 4 times a day. Naproxen, I think, twice a day. Naproxen is an anti-inflammatory, and methocarbamol is a muscle relaxant. And kratom is basically an over-the-counter opioid. I'm going to take all of these clips and I'm going to compile them into a documentary. And the goal is to ultimately get to the New York City Marathon this year and to run it, and to hopefully somehow run it in under 4 hours, despite the fact that currently, as of this time and date, the right side of my body just doesn't fucking function. I can't move it. The pain is debilitating. I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome in California, where I lived for approximately 3 years. And I believe after an MRI in November or December 2024, they spotted a torn rotator cuff, which about a year later, I don't remember when. Part of the problem here is that I can't get my medical records from California. But somewhere between a year and 14 months after that, maybe it was October 2025, so maybe it was 11 months, they noted that I still had a torn rotator cuff. Part of the problem out there in California was that through the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, I had a platinum PPO plan, but I had to fight for everything. I had to fight for every MRI. I had to fight for nerve block injections. I had to fight for anything over 6 physical therapy sessions. And just to get the physical therapy, I needed to get a doctor's approval. And I think it had to be a specialist's approval. It couldn't come from my PCP. And then when it came to occupational therapy, which it seems to me that physical therapy is more for dealing with immediate pain, whereas occupational therapy is more for long-term function and rehabilitation, and it seems to me physical therapy is more acute, whereas occupational therapy is more long-term. But regardless, you need a certain number of sessions, I think, of PT and OT in order to get rotator cuff surgery. I haven't been eating very well. I haven't been sleeping very well. I am in enormous pain. I can't think straight. This has been a nightmare. And I'm convinced that there are many things that I need or have needed. One was that I was a regular smoker after I ran this marathon, the 2022 New York City Marathon. My mom had died of glioblastoma, which is brain cancer, in 2021, on June 14th, 2021. And I stopped caring about my own life. I didn't have the motivation or the strength to keep fighting anymore. I think cigarettes are largely, like maybe 33% to 50% of the reason why I'm so debilitated right now. So 3 days ago, I think on the 22nd of April, I quit. And I've just been using the gum since. And immediately I can feel the maximum amount of pain. They always ask you in the ER, out of 10, from a scale of 1 to 10, what is the pain that you're feeling right now? And when I wake up almost every single day, it's an 8 or above. If I take medication, depends on the medication, but it can go down to I think a 2 at best. Problem is, especially with the kratom, it gets to be an addictive substance. It's a lot like oxycodone, and its origins are dubious at best. So it doesn't help as much as it did in the beginning. So I would say my pain is a 3 out of 10 now, even though I'm on those 3 medications. I intend to get off, certainly the kratom. I may be on naproxen for life, an anti-inflammatory for life. Maybe on Tylenol for life. I may be on all these medications, but hopefully I can wake up and I'm either pain-free or at a 2 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 at most on rainy days. The weather does seem to affect my body. But I have to take this day by day and step by step. And I'm convinced the community is going to play a huge role in this. Whether, unfortunately, that means that they have to donate their 2 most important resources, their time or their money. And I realize those are big sacrifices. But when you care about someone, and this is what gets me most, I've shown time and time again, whether it's someone invited me to one of their concerts or their artistic events, I would be the only person that they invited on Facebook who actually showed up. And they would actually be freaked out. They'd be like, I didn't expect you to come here. But they asked me to come, and I wanted to show my support. I've always tried to be that person, because that to me is a good person, someone who shows support. I'm reminded of when I was living in Brooklyn. I was hit by a car on Labor Day 2017, and my humerus was shattered. I lived, I'm going to get the address wrong, but I think it was 764 Classen Avenue in Brooklyn, right near Prospect Park. And I loved to run loops around Prospect Park. It was my favorite thing in the world, because I was constantly improving myself, and I constantly strived to be a better person before I stopped giving a shit. But then on Labor Day 2017, they had the West Indies parade, and I couldn't get to the park. So I tried to run into Manhattan. I wanted to do a long run into Manhattan, but all these streets were blocked off and traffic was clogged everywhere. And I got to Classen Avenue and Flushing Avenue in Brooklyn, near the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And I had the right of way, and there were all these cars that were stopped. And yeah, there was the ticking clock or whatever, but I knew I could make it. And the next thing I know, I was up in the air, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. It didn't make any sense to me. It felt like a nightmare. I felt like I was living a nightmare. And really the only distinct thought that I remember from being up in the air was, I haven't accomplished enough to die now. But it's 8 years later, and all the things that I wanted to accomplish, I still haven't accomplished, and I'm really frustrated with myself. Because I think if I were able-bodied, I'd be able to accomplish more than I've been able to do. I think if I hadn't been hit, I would have achieved the one thing that I had wanted, which was the American dream. I wanted a house, I wanted a wife, I wanted a kid. I wanted a daughter. I like women much more than I like men. Although, I'm creating this video series for a number of reasons. One is to inspire other men who are going through hell. There's a really great book that came out last year called Notes on Being a Man. It's called Notes on Being a Man by Scott Galloway. And I think everyone should read it. And it's about how it's not intended to diminish what women are going through. And the past several years, Roe versus Wade has been overturned, and this administration is racist and misogynistic. We will get past this as a country. That I have faith in. History rhymes, and I think we're going to enter a period of democratic, capital D, reign, or just, how do I put this? I believe that Democrats will be in control of Congress. They will be in control of the House of Representatives. They will be in control. They will be senators. The overwhelming majority of senators in the United States will be Democratic. We will have a Democratic president. But we have to stand for something. We have to fight for something. And I think the thing that we need to fight for the most is universal health care, because I think it's a bipartisan issue. And it encompasses everything from mental health, physical health. Right now I have my mental health challenges, but I can't express enough. What I'm going through is intensely physical. It is intensely painful to the point where it is debilitating, and it is affecting my mental health. If I didn't have this pain, I would be focused on getting a job and making money and my artistic ambitions, and frankly, I've been thinking a lot about what a near-death experience like mine does to a human being and what it does to their psyche. Jeremy Renner has a great book about this I just read. I forget what it's called. One Last Breath, maybe. But when you're so close to death, you realize what's important to you. And it made me realize I want a family of my own. I want to be healthy, and I want to be strong, and I want to live my life to the fullest. And I was born into a really great life with a fantastic mother. I was thinking about the phrase rest in peace and how it's redundant. Because if you're resting eternally, you are in peace. And if there's any solace that I take from my mother's death, it's that she's at peace. Nobody chooses to live in the time period unto which they're born. And forgive me for my grammatical mistakes. Something I'm going to be critical of, I'm sure. Nobody... Look, if we could live in the 80s and the 90s forever, it was like peak humanity. And even if you were well off, like I was, the 2000s and the 2010s, those were great years. Up until the Trump era. I think social media played a big role in that. Even right now, this isn't a two-way conversation. This is just a fucking monologue. It's just me talking about my problems and trying to explain how they're connected to a larger context. But in all these videos, with the exception of a few that involve Sean or my physical or occupational therapist or my dad outside the video frame, I've been completely alone. And part of that is definitely on me. I am so self-conscious about my disability that I'm afraid to see people. I'm afraid to talk to people. And then when I do finally try to connect with others, the floodgates open. And I'm asking for too much. Because I want everything fixed immediately. I mean, who wouldn't in my situation? I want my body fixed. I want a job. I want a wife. I want to live pain-free. We're almost halfway through the year. I don't even have a gym membership. If I did, that's one of the things I would do today. I'd go to the gym and I'd try to run so that I can literally take steps forward towards that goal of the New York City Marathon. Maybe I will run outside, even though it's not easy. It's harder to pace myself. The terrain isn't as smooth. But I have faith that I will improve. I will get better. I think the country situation will get better. I think the people who care for me, if they watch these videos, if I reach out enough, at some point the ice will break and they'll come back into my life. But I think the final message I want to say here is that I'm just trying to restore balance to my body, to the country. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm sorry if I'm annoying you. I'm trying to take responsibility, take accountability, and I'm trying to show love. And this is the hardest thing to do. You need to be really, it's easy to get angry. It's so easy to get angry. It's so easy to just give in to your circumstances, whatever they may be, and to just give up. It is so difficult to pull yourself out of a dark place. But I believe if you show people that you're willing to do the work, then they'll assist you however they're able to. And unfortunately right now, everybody's in a fucking dark place. So when I have the strength and ability to help other people, I fully intend to do whatever I can to help. And please, leave in the comments whatever you're going through. If you just need to talk, my phone number is 201-686-4106. I want to hear how you're doing. And everything will be private and confidential unless you specify otherwise. But please don't give up on me. I haven't given up on you. I'm really fucking close to giving up on myself. And that's why I'm making these videos, because, like I said, I think multiple times, I have faith I will make progress. Whenever I start to doubt myself, I hope I have the strength to look back on these videos and say, hey, I'm in a better position than I was then, because I put in the work. And hopefully it'll inspire other people to do the work for themselves, to get themselves in a place where other people feel like they can reach out, like they can do something, like they know what they need to do in order to help. I'm sorry if none of this makes sense, or if it sounds like I'm blathering on. One of the things I have to say I'm kind of surprised about is I've watched some of the videos that I've made, and I've made about 100 of them so far, if not more. And I'm constantly surprised by how articulate I sound. Now, you know what, I gotta give myself props for that. It makes sense that somebody who is a fantastic writer like myself is also capable of verbalizing and articulating his thoughts with precision and accuracy and meaning and conveying emotion. One thing I don't want is pity. I just want to get better. And I want you to be involved in my life. Because going back to the point about how easy it is to fall into the trap of self-pity and giving up, it's really hard to love. But that's what we need to do. And I preach more than I practice, I guess. But if I don't love you yet, I will find a way to love you in some way, shape, or form. And to the people who have already captured my heart, just be gentle with me, please. I need you right now. I really need you. And I really love you. And your absence from my life leaves a hole in me that I think defines the difference between giving up and soldiering on. Let's keep going. Let's keep fighting. I won't give up if you don't give up. Make America love again. From Jersey, with love, Dan.